about we just get started? Well, first off, you just met Justin.
Yep.
So
Hi, Justin.
Justin's over here, and obviously, like I know you because I talked to you on the phone, and Chris knows you because
I sort of know you a little bit.
sort of.
No.
He introduced us. So and I like coming by NAMM and taking beer out of your fridge.
Well,
so
now we've established we all know each other, but like, go ahead.
So
Justin.
how you guys know each other?
yeah,
How
let's
did you
get to
guys
how you
first
guys
meet,
know one another.
actually?
Yeah, Derek can tell this story. I think how Vanguard met AudioScape, how that started.
I'll try and keep it brief, but before COVID, NAMM became like a wasteland and like a kind of a no man's land. It was like fighting tooth and nail to get into the Pro Audio Hall. And we had a chance to get into the Pro Audio Hall, me and Darren, but it was like a 30 by 10 space. So it was like 3 spaces, and it was kind of expensive because we were new companies. And they were like, well, if you can bring in a third company that's never been to NAMM, then we'll give you that space in the Pro Audio Hall. And I was like, geez, thanks for making me do your work. Do I also get your commission? But I'd actually heard about AudioScape through, and now I'm blanking on his name, engineer up in Long Island, Tiki Recording Studios, Fred Perino.
Yep.
Fred, yeah. And Fred showed me your 76. I don't remember if it's the A or the D, the blue one.
Yes, the A.
And he's like, I got rid of my old ones because this one's quieter and sounds really, 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 really good. And like after using them, I was like, I'm just gonna sell the old ones and make a bunch of money. And I was like, that's amazing. And so I kind of kept that in the back of my head, and I just reached out like, hey, you guys aren't at NAMM. Would you like to go? Because we need somebody else to come. So Chris came, and we had like a three-team booth, and it was great. We had an awesome time. And since then, we've hung out and gotten dinner, and you've sold some of our gear, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it's been really, really great. And it's always nice to be able to, like, grumpy old man call and gripe about how hard it is to get components, or that customers ask inane questions or whatever. It's really nice to have somebody to do that with. And also, like, get resources like, hey, I'm having this weird problem. Like, let's talk about this weird logistics or manufacturing problem we got going on. And have you guys dealt with anything like that? And how do we resolve it or whatever? So it's nice to just have somebody to bounce ideas off of.
There's definitely a crossover too when we talk about like, oh, it's hard to get, like, oh, capacitors are hard to get, or resistors, but there's the crossover parts that we all use. But I actually was wondering, what are some specific things as a manufacturer, maybe even Vanguard specific, that are so like that are hard for you to get or can sometimes throw up roadblocks for production? I think, obviously you deal in capsules. We don't make mics, so like things like that,
Capsules can be a problem if they're improperly stored or transported. Like, we've definitely had runs of capsules come in where we have like a lot of moisture entrapment, and there's sometimes you can solve that and sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just like, well, this one's useless, or I got to send it back and get it, fixed. But I think the hardest thing of note recently, when the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, the vacuum tubes, because so many of them are made in Russia, and it was just really, really hard to get vacuum tubes. To me, that was like the hardest thing. What about you guys? I know the Golden 58 had the new old stock components, which is tricky because you have to buy them and then you have to sort them and figure out which ones are good and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were getting tubes that were brand new, and luckily there was a good source of the 5879 tubes, and they're brand new in the box. They said like Department of Defense, Ogden, Utah. They're awesome looking, but like, yeah, I mean, it's for us because it's in such a critical like V1 and V2 position, and high gain, just the nature of the circuit. We'd be we'd go through like 300 tubes a week just to find 10 units, So
that's a crazy high rate
of reject ratio. Yes. So that the tube rolling was difficult. And then we also had a fixed number of new stock transformers. And instead of just chucking in like whatever replacement transformer, and these transformers, we felt like they were unique enough to like, we just wanted them tied to this product. So they were using like some Euro consoles in the 70s and things like that. And they sound amazing. And so we just, decided to just keep it at 300 units, and we're actually done with
Finished.
Yeah, we're finished with the production run on the Golden 58s. The last one's up for raffle as we've been promoting endlessly
Tomorrow.
this week.
Yeah. Not the date when we film, but yeah, tomorrow it's done.
You're ruining the illusion.
So
Trevor.
congratulations to you, all the winners.
Insert name
Your
here.
three.
Yeah,
Maybe
AI will
we'll
do it.
insert the names or do a VO of their who won. So
Just do some ADR.
just do a little voiceover. on it.
voiceover.
Yeah,
The
just
VO.
Yeah, whenever I'm editing videos, I always put down like VO if it's a voiceover and stuff. So I just got used to just saying VO. But
Well, we just talked about the Golden, but the V4.
oh yeah, the V4 Gen 2.
He's talking into.
Yeah, got it right there.
I am talking into one right now.
Yep.
Don't judge the way I sound right now on how the mic sounds, because as I was telling you guys before, I needed to get acoustic treatment, and this was finally like the impetus to do it, and then it didn't arrive in time. So I sound like I'm in a drywall box because I'm currently on like a 10 by 10
No, that
drywall
AC
box.
vent looks like it's doing a lot though, so it's helping.
Yeah,
with
you know
acoustic.
what? The AC is under there, so if you do hear it, I mean, you guys have gating plugins, right?
No,
It's
AC
not a
vents
deal.
and condenser mics they're
best friends.
mortal enemies to the end.
Complete best friends.
Yeah, definitely.
So I had a
I
question.
have it on figure 8 to try and like really cut stuff out, but we'll see.
So going back to the tubes, all right, knowing that
Yeah.
you had to go through, this is the Golden 58 here. If you had 300 that came in the week and you're only able to use maybe 20 of those, is there any use for the other leftover supply?
I would love to, on my bucket list of, long bucket list of things to do is to design something that can use those tubes that in less critical position, like a line grade position instead of, mic position where it's just highly critical.
Right, yeah.
So, because those, a lot of times, for instance, we'll use tubes that won't work great for the first position in, like, say, an LA2A, but they'll work great in a first position in a line grade device like the EQPAs that we sell and the MEQs. They'll work fine. They're completely noiseless, no microphonics. But yeah, you pop them in a V1 in an LA2A style circuit, and you're
golden.
almost
golden, like the 58.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're golden in the EQP, but you put them in that something that's as critical with high gain like that first position on the LA2A, and it's just
work.
crapshoot. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like holy hell,
I've been looking around for it. I have a 5-star 6072 that I just ordered for the V24s that we're releasing. And I'm kind of scared because I know it's been tested, it's been sorted, it's been selected for low noise because it's in a microphone, right? And this is like a single triode circuit. So
Yeah.
it's, the triodes have to be well matched and all that. And this has all already been done, fortunately. And I don't have to sort through a million tubes like you guys did. But I'm kind of scared to plug it in because I'm like, what if the guy lied? Because I mean, so many guys have been using those 5-star GEs and Raytheons that and then a bunch of mic manufacturers that do like boutique stuff, they buy up big lots of them, sort out the best ones, and then dump the rest of them back on the market. So I feel like it's actually pretty hard to find good, even like not new old stock, but like new tubes that have been tested in the 60, like those GE 5-star 6072s. I considered going with some different ones, but like the 5-stars, they do sound really good.
Yeah.
They sound so good in the microphone.
Yeah, and
circuit.
by the way, we're one of those companies that buy a lot of tubes, but we don't dump them back out on the market. That, to me, that's kind of like, I don't think I could sleep at night if I did that shit. Yeah. But
ethically questionable.
yeah, and honestly, like, we're pretty resourceful. Like I mentioned, the first position and like the Opto, the LA2A style compressor is highly critical. Well, the third position isn't. You're not going to hear, microphonics there. It's in the side chain, right? So that's where a lot of those get pushed to. So yeah, we're not, we have a whole tube room of stuff,
Tube
going
garden.
on.
A tube garden.
Do a tube garden. Yeah. That's like the tube pit, as I like to call it. It's just like a little room, but it's just like the tube pit. Like you go in there and it's just tubes everywhere.
And then you just swim in them like you're at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh no, no, because there's probably less germs. Like if you're trying to swim in them, than if you were swimming in the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese. So
That is,
I don't want to
100%
derail
correct.
this too much, but the Chuck E. Cheese like completely like just collapsed.
Oh, during the
right?
hurricane?
Like our there's no longer Chuck E. Cheese like in our town. It's like done.
Gone.
the whole side just like fell in, and like they were just
But
like,
where
well,
will we get pizza made of greasy cardboard?
the school lunch?
Every time I would go there though, like for what the kids or whatever birthday parties and things like that, I would leave with a headache.
Yeah.
So like I definitely took pleasure in seeing it just
Seeing it
all
fall
rubber.
apart.
Yeah.
Oh
Just like, you're
no,
like,
what a
karma's
bummer.
bitch.
I guess we'll have to go to Dave and Buster's for your next birthday party.
Dave
Or
and Buster's
stay
is
home.
like
Yeah.
alcoholic Chuck E. Cheese. Like,
It's the adult
It's adult Chuck E. Cheese. It was made with a specific customer base in mind, for sure.
yeah, I always find it funny that the you remember that band Bowling for Soup?
Yes.
So the lead singer of Bowling for Soup is the voice of Charles Edward Cheese, which, by the
Charles
way,
Edward
Chuck E. Cheese. That's Charles Edward Cheese.
He sounds like he's going to be the King of England someday.
yeah, right. No, he's
Charles
just the-
Edward
he's just-
Cheese the Third,
He's just the
Duke of Sussex,
He's just the king of driving parents fucking nuts.
the king of terrible animatronic cover bands or
Oh
whatever.
God! I like
Yeah.
last time I went in there, it was I don't know. It was years ago. I don't know. I got asked not to come back. No, I'm just joking.
How do you get kicked out of Chuck E. Cheese? Like, what do you have to do?
episodes in a
And in Florida, no less. Like, what do you have to do to get kicked out of a Chuck E. Cheese in Florida?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you know.
you just basically gotta swear a bunch, and they're
Oh, okay, that's fair.
yeah, like because they're like it's a family establishment. I'm like, your dude that voices your mouse or your rat, whatever the hell it is, sings about friggin' blowjobs, like so like you get
Chuck E.
like,
Cheese.
like you guys hired the guy of inappropriate to be your your spokesman, yeah.
Yeah, it's like having Bob Saget star in your family comedy or something. You know?
Oh man, Florida claimed him too.
Explaining the joke, Bob Saget was a terribly dirty comedian.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's
Everyone
terribly dirty. Yeah.
And explaining Trevor's
super
joke that he
blue.
died in Florida, which very bad joke.
He did, well, no, I'm just saying he got claimed, like him and Frank Sinatra Jr., Dale Earnhardt. Man, Florida sucks.
It's so we're alienating that specific part.
No.
of our
I'm just
customer
saying,
base,
there's
too.
like we have a nice death toll. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
No, fair enough. I mean, you're just racking them up, man.
Yeah, we can edit this out. Justin, edit this out. Every time I turn over and I go, Justin,
Man, the
edit
stream of
this out.
consciousness thing that we have is definitely going to get us in trouble if it hasn't already.
Yeah.
No, I love it because like a lot of the episodes, I'll look over at Justin and be like, "Hey, man, edit this out" or whatever, and then like I watch the final one and I'm like, and it just shows me going, "Hey, man, edit this out." And it just stays there.
I hope Justin's taking like timestamp notes. Where's the clapper? Can we get the clapboard
yeah,
in?
one of
Like,
those.
Yeah.
I would love it. But so I want to know. This is back on topic and everything like that. We've gone through the tubes and all that good stuff. But how did you get into making mics?
Oh man, that's another long story. Okay, I'll try and keep it brief. I'm nothing if not. There's this term called laconic phrase. It was invented by the Spartans, and it means saying as much as possible with as few words as possible. And I am the opposite of laconic phrase. So, trying to keep this from getting too out of hand. I was always like tinkering with stuff as a kid. I would take electronics apart to try and figure out how they worked. I got in big trouble for taking apart something and leaving it plugged in because I was like, I want to understand, if I can see the electricity or whatever. And I got in big trouble for that. After that, anything I took apart, my parents would actually cut the they would cut the power cable off of it so I couldn't plug it in. And I didn't know how to solder back then, so not yet. Then, like many people, is that you or me?
What?
Are you guys hearing
little
lawn
bit of
work
something.
going on?
I don't know.
I think that's me.
We've already had somebody walk in.
Okay, so if we're hearing weed whackers, it's perfect lawn weather, and people out here are obsessed with their lawns. So I apologize. Once again, I'm in a wallboard box with like old crummy windows. So apologies for any extraneous background noise. Maybe I should just like eat chicken nuggets or something while talking next to really make it like whatever the opposite of ASMR is. Anyways,
We'll do an episode where everybody's just eating chips as they're talking.
oh my gosh. Like that made my teeth itchy just thinking about it. Oh man.
All opening bags.
So going back to this stupid story of how I started getting into microphones and thereby ruined any chance of me ever making any good money. I was a tinkerer, enjoyed electronics, kind of understood some very basic theory about electronics. And then, like many people in like junior high, I joined a band because my friends played instruments. And they were like, we don't have a bassist. You should learn how to play bass. So I started learning how to play bass. And instead of like actually practicing and getting better at bass, I was like, you guys all have like these cool pedals that change your guitar sound. And I wanted that for bass, but there weren't really bass pedals back then. Not a lot of them anyways. It was very much a small industry at that point. So I was like, I'm just going to learn how to modify these for bass. So I started learning some more electronic theory and signal theory and all that. So, after that, went to school for music, quickly figured out that everybody else there was way better than me at the actual making of music. And I was like, you know what? I'm a really good engineer. Like I have a production mind, I have a good ear. And so I started engineering and producing all my friends' records in college, and then did that a little bit, freelanced a little bit as well out of college. But I needed an internship to get to graduate from this expensive music degree. Arts degrees, kids, don't get them. And I was like, I could scrub toilets and be a coffee gopher at like a studio, and that sounds horrible. Or I could do something I actually like with the skills I have. And so I contacted a mic company that I liked using their mics because they weren't crazy expensive, but they sounded better than the $99 stuff I could get, called Avant Electronics. And they were local. And I said, listen, I need an internship. You get basically 80 hours of free labor. Like, what's not to like here? And they brought me in, and Ken Avant, who is now my partner at Vanguard, was the designer of that gear, and basically said, here's what I know, and here's what I want you to do, and kind of took me under his wing and taught me a lot of stuff about transducers and things like that. We also made some monitors there. So the defecation hit the oscillation at that particular company in 2011, unfortunately. So I went back to freelancing and then started this company with Ken because we had some ideas that we wanted to realize that we hadn't got around to yet at Avant. So that's as short of a story as I can make it, but it kind of blends the two things I really like, which are the subjectivity of music and tone, and why do we like the way things sound? Why do some people like jazz and other people like bowling for soup? And then also the science and the objectivity of, you need this value resistor, and this is how a tube works, and this is how you get a voltage controlled current, and all sorts of things. So, it really blends those two things, and you can't have too much of one without the other, or you get a bad product. So the pursuit of making these sound better and making them perform better and making them a better creative tool is just kind of this unattainable fascination for me.
All right.
Yeah,
That's cool.
That's an answer. That's a damn good answer.
Yeah, that's a long answer. We took a long walk to get there, but it's an answer.
That was pretty good. That wasn't too long.
Yeah. But I mean that's also interesting to know. I mean, like I feel like AudioScape's kind of like a similar story in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah.
But Chris, I haven't really actually heard your tale and travails. Tell me how you got into making the AudioScape gear that you do, and how you were like, let's make a spring reverb, like an analog spring reverb.
All those are crazy
and then you
stories.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I want like the early how AudioScape came to scape some audio.
Kind of like how you were talking about pedals. I was playing in a band, guitar player, and just started building my own guitar pedals, started experimenting. Actually,
It's the gateway drug.
Yeah. Actually, AudioScape was a pedal that I was creating that was like an original design circuit, like just crazy weird thing. And like, at a certain point, I started just for like a producer friend of mine built a like an SSL style bus compressor and just started throwing AudioScape on that. But yeah, I had a guitar pedal company for 5 years. There's still videos online of it and that as well. If you look up CBC pedals, it's like me just playing in the garage.
CBC pedals.
Yeah.
Please tell me that you had like frosted tips and stuff like that. I want to go find these. And
No,
like,
I'm not.
post
It's
them
not
on
of me.
our
It's just like my
stories and
hand
tag
moving the
you.
dials and that, and just me.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, none of that.
I wanted like young Chris.
Yeah, none of that self glorification shit. But yeah, I hate that stuff. I hate it when like, oh, yeah. But clearly, that's why the company's not like my last name or anything. And you follow a similar path there, where you created an idea with the name of your company. And one thing I do want to, if nobody's aware of Vanguard in general, like basically these are original designs. These are not, and I'd say they rival like a lot of the big boy industry standard mics, not to make a commercial for Vanguard, but
Thanks,
like
buddy.
if you're looking, like you're a producer, you're an engineer, you're just recording yourself at home and you're looking for something that's going to give you a unique sound that's like those big boys, you're going to get that with Vanguard. And that's what's really cool what you guys are doing. So, not to veer off of, I know you're asking our story, but I do feel like that's something that needs to be said. Little public service announcement.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Back
This
to
podcast is brought to you by Vanguard Audio.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought we were doing a plug. Okay.
no,
it's not a
not to
commercial
mention
break.
you
Got it.
guys.
Okay.
You do the stereo mics, the V1s with the lolly capsules, and that's super cool as well. If you just go to their site, you can see all that stuff. I'm sure, Justin, you could edit and put the
we'll
website on.
I'll put the website at the bottom there.
But no, back to our story. Like, so that's how that started. It was just all humble beginnings. We never once took a loan. We just continued, sold the one thing, used the money to buy parts, do the next thing one by one. And I've been doing the same thing since
Classic
basically
bootstrap.
2010, 2000. Yeah.
Wow.
So there are some similarities between your story and Chris's, which is about a bass guitar. And I think, if I recall correctly, in late 2000s.
We just call them basses, Justin.
Yeah, basses. You like that? Well, you could have a double bass. So going back to, when Chris was in this group, a good friend of ours who's no longer with us he was a bass player of the group. And I believe this poor guy was probably one of the best bass players you could ever have perform alongside with you. But he would always have the most trouble with his equipment at all times, no matter what gig, no matter how brand new or how old it was always giving him hella problems. And at one point in time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he had a bass pedal, like a whole, if you want to explain that, it started with him like a smorgasbord of bass pedals, and then Chris took it upon himself and he designed, which when I showed up at the gig to run sound from, I'm like, who the hell made this? And everybody pointed to Chris, and I'm like, hold on, you do this? And it just continued from there.
Yeah, I think it was like those old Chave light switchboard things. And there was like, I just ripped out all that stupid bullshit circuitry and just put like all the pedals in line that he liked. And so there was like 5 of them in there or whatever, all just combined into this one big box. So like
That's genius.
with locking jacks, because you'd always kick
His shit around.
Yeah.
It would be everywhere.
So I'd use the switchcraft locking jacks. And I put these huge big LEDs, because he needed glasses but would never wear them. So I had these LEDs that were like 10 mil. And you know what's funny is, he's talking about Jamie, but you met Jamie. He was the one who first exhibited with us back in
Oh, he did
2019.
meet him.
I remember Jamie, yeah.
That's
So-
awesome. So yeah, it was Jamie who, helped. There was,
He's like,
drove
you're not
that.
going alone. I was just going to do it by myself. And he's like, you gotta have someone come with you. He probably just wanted to come, but it was still.
He wanted to go to Disneyland.
Yeah. But
No, I don't. I met Jamie back in the day, but that's before I even knew who anybody was. Like just through Chris's old band, and we're not going to say it on air because you don't need to be going looking around.
We're not going to say the name of the band. I was going to ask what the name of the band was.
I don't know if you want to say it.
Are you on Spotify?
No, I think it's on Spotify. This, the music is actually very good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like it's Orange Avenue.
I'll say it, Orange Avenue.
Yeah, Orange Avenue.
They had
Orange
some great
Avenue.
success.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to always call them Ocean Avenue, but that was because Yellow Card and all that stuff from around the area. And
You weren't the only one.
Yeah, I know I wasn't the only one. Like everybody's like, "Oh, Ocean Avenue is playing tonight." And I
Well,
go
there was
down
a couple of gigs we had LP from Yellow Card playing, and that must have been really
That's
confusing
right.
for those
Yeah.
folks.
I remember that. Yeah.
They must have been like, wait a second.
But no, but all the stories that I hear about Jamie, I just sit there and I'm like, that's kind of how I am on stage, and really with life, I'm just kind of like a mess a little bit. Like just everything's always going wrong.
organized
I'm
mess.
like I like this, but it's always going wrong on me.
As a bassist, I did a lot of church gigs, and perpetually, like with the countdown, you're like, okay, I got to go out, I got to plug in to the in-ear monitor system, I got to plug in my bass, and I had one of those Planet Waves cables with the on-off switch.
Yeah.
So
I got
because I had just a headstock tuner, I didn't like the pedal tuners. It felt like one more thing to set up. So I had a headstock tuner, and I'm like, oh, I can just turn on and off. And inevitably on the downbeat, I would forget something. It'd either be like my headphone jack wasn't all the way plugged into the IEM, or like my cable or whatever wasn't plugged all the way in, or I hit the little switch and I'd hit the note and be like, you'd think I'd learn every damn time. So yeah, it was pretty bad. But there's a reason I don't play bass as much anymore, and it's because I'm bad at it. Well, not bad. I was a mediocre bassist. Like everybody in my music program, I went in and I was like, everybody's better, and I'm not spending like 8 hours a day doing scales and stuff to like get better than them. That just sounds tedious and boring and not interesting. So I was like, I can engineer. Like, I mean, the guys that engineer on records, right? They get the same amount of credits on the record that like, the other guy does. And then I was like, well, if I make microphones, the engineers use those, then technically I'm getting credits for all those albums. That's really the master plan. It's just to have like the biggest all music credits list of all time, just by making
the liner
microphones.
notes.
It's not working out very well. I'm not going to lie.
Well, they don't give you credit when you make stuff
It's part of the like license agreement. I make them click agree. I don't know what the problem is.
they don't read through the whole damn thing. They're just like, god damn it, they got one of these. All right.
Yep, I'm one of those.
I'm pretty
You didn't
sure
read the
Apple
whole
owns
manual,
our
right?
souls from us going like, I'm not reading this whole entire thing. Like you scroll for 30 seconds, then hit agree at the bottom.
So the one grumpy thing I did have, not grumpy, but like
grumpy things.
Not
This is my
grumpy,
bread and
but
butter.
I like grumpy stuff.
well, things that we not complain, but we can sort of talk about, over beer or whatever, and be like,
Hold on. Not complain. Like you and I are going to turn into those two old man Muppets right now. Like, we're definitely going to complain.
no, there's certain things that can derail a company that people I don't think tend to think about. Like they don't think like, oh, company like AudioScape is in Florida, that like, a hurricane can come and rock your world and like destroy your inventory.
Yep.
And,
I was telling somebody about that one the other day.
Yeah, and the disaster strikes. I think what happened to you guys a while back is I'd classify as a disaster as well. With you could tell the story a little bit.
It's not a long story. Somebody drove their car through our roll-up door, put as much stuff from the shelf into their car as they could, and then drove away. And most of what they took was not completed product. So they took like 400 shock mounts, I think. Like, what are they going to do with 400 shock mounts? They took a bunch of the metalwork for the lollipop heads, the lolly, that wasn't completed. They took mics that weren't fully built out yet. And then they started popping up on like OfferUp for like $80 or whatever, and people would buy it because it was a screaming deal. And then they'd contact us like, I bought one of your mics and it isn't working. And I'm like, okay, it's a warranty claim. What's going on? Oh, well, this and this and this. What's the serial number? This. Oh, well, you see, that mic got stolen, and that's why it doesn't have a shock mount, and why the capsule isn't connected to the circuit board, and that's why it's not working. Like there's many problems with that microphone. It hasn't been tested at all. So yeah, that was a whole fun ordeal of, that was like, funnily enough, that was right before I was about to move to Pennsylvania, and the shop was going to be run on its own by my two employees. And one of them, I think it was his first or second week, poor Curtis, they called me and they were like, so I just got here and there's like a police officer here and the door's broken and I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh boy. welcome to Vanguard. And it's just been all downhill for Curtis from there. Poor chap. That sucked. I feel like, I still had some product and stuff and it wasn't underwater. So I feel like Hurricane trumps break-in, quite frankly.
I think they both suck, personally.
They both suck.
Yeah.
Also, like a pandemic and supply chain crisis are kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Also, sorry for the plosives, everybody. I just said pandemic and it was like pandemic.
It fits. But that was tough. For the longest time, there's chips and things like that. Even with the car.
Me and you and Darren just had like a running thread of like, here's what I can't get today, or like, this month, Like WEMA, their capacitors, like from the factory, at one point, I think I read it was like 56. It was over a year. Normally their lead time is like 10 to 12 weeks, which is pretty average for like an electronics manufacturer. It can stretch to 18 at busy times, but like 56 weeks or something like that. It's like if you order these now, they will get here in the next calendar year.
And what's crazy is a lot of the times these parts are not like, they're not special, like it's just standard parts.
It was like stuff we take for granted.
Yeah. And
like I'm trying to think of the most ridiculous thing that held me up, and like capacitors were one of them. At one point I could not get like basic switching diodes. Couldn't find them.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like
absurdity.
one of the most standard fare parts you could find.
Like that is, like you go on Mauser and you look up that part and it's like, we have 800,000 of these in stock normally,
Yeah.
Like it's literally like a 6-figure stock quantity, and they cost you like a fraction of a penny each if you get the cheap ones or whatever. And I couldn't find them for a bit. It was like, seriously? Everything that you take for granted, like basics, even just shipping, right? Like, it'll take me 30 days to get these parts. No, just kidding, because the Port of LA is backed up and your sensitive microphone parts will sit corroding in salty air for 90 days anchored outside of the Port of LA, unless you pay for like air shipping or something, which we did. And it was like,
it's bad.
It was like I could have paid somebody minimum wage for a year with what I paid for one shipment of microphones. It was absurd.
Yeah, it's shipping. Yeah, that can get crazy. Crazy.
What was like the part for you that was like, seriously, you don't have those right now?
We couldn't. Well, first of all, the flip side of that is everyone's at home during the pandemic, so there's all the pitchforks are out. Everybody wants to get gear, and you don't have the materials to make the gear that they want. So you have that going on. So you have that sort of pressure cooker going on at the same time.
That was like the first 3 months. And then supply chain became part of like the public lexicon and the zeitgeist, and people calmed down.
Yeah.
I feel like
to a certain extent, for us, with the way we operate, it's like, hey, we're dropping our thing. This is what we've made this week. But our supplies are even more limited in a high time. So it took a while for the understanding to kick in, I feel like, on that end of things. But one of the hardest parts was the VCAs that we use for the bus comp. Mm-hmm. And those are, basically that's like one of our best selling products, like you strap it across your bus, you get an instant, it's one of the few things that
instant glue.
Yeah. People are even mostly in the box, they're still going to want out of the box solution for their 2-bus. And that was hard. That took a while to get going, with them, with that corp. Yeah.
Plus, during the pandemic, I feel like a lot of people took that time to get out of the box. Like they were just like, you know what? Government's giving me money and to stay home. And for some reason, I don't have to pay rent. So I'm gonna start buying stuff. And the bus comp is definitely a great entry level unit. For
it's a great dip your toe into AudioScape.
Dip your toes into hardware in general.
Yeah, that's true as well. Because
just getting into hardware, because if they're already recording and stuff, as long as they're not just recording MIDI instrumentals the whole entire time, they probably have an interface. They probably have a mic. They probably already have some kind of
It's a great gateway drug.
Yeah, it's
you
a
know?
great gateway drug, as you were. Yeah, as you
Which
were
seems
saying,
to be the theme and title of this episode.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll title it. We'll title it.
Gateway drug.
Let me go get my edibles from the freezer.
Yeah. Derek comes by with his gateway drugs. That'll be the
Microphones and special cookies.
microphone special cookies. All right. Now this might be a good time for us to actually bring up the was it
Methamphetamines, yes.
No. Right now, would be a good
I
time
thought we
for
were
us
still
to-
doing the gateway drug bit. My bad. All right, sorry.
I was going to say, if you made it this far into the episode, you deserve a discount over at audioscape.com. So please go over to audioscape.com and you can get $100 off your bus comp or 260VU. Just use code SONIC100, but Sonic is spelt with a 1. So SON1C and then 100. Yo. And thank you. And it's probably here at the bottom of the screen. Justin, put that on the bottom of the screen. Thank
Put
you.
it over his face.
So put it over his face.
Put the code over Trevor's face.
Put the code over my put the code over my stupid fucking face right here.
There you go.
As a technology guru, I gotta say, putting the 1 in was very clever, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to accept your password because there's not like an exclamation point or special character in it.
Well, it's just a promo code.
But you do have a digit, but you don't have the special character.
You don't need to have a special character for the promo code
Then why is there a 1 instead of an I?
because I like to fuck around, and they found out.
This was a bad joke. Justin, edit it out. I thought we were going somewhere with it. and-
He's not gonna edit it out. I promise you.
Can't all be winners, Ted.
Anytime you say edit it out, he'll just chop up the bits that you did the worst on and just let you ride those out all at once.
I'm gonna blame Trevor for not yes-anding this.
What? Me yes-anding it?
Yeah, the whole password bit.
No.
We were going somewhere with that.
We were?
Well, I thought we were.
I didn't know we were.
I drove away, and you were still stuck at the bus stop.
I was. I mean, you know, there's gum on that bus stop. We gotta have it.
What flavor, though? I mean, is the real question.
Grape.
Whoever was chewing it last.
If there's
their
no Big
flavor.
Red, I'm out.
Big league
Whatever
chew.
they taste like, that's what it is.
Oof.
Did they?
So
brush
should I
their
mention
teeth?
again that you guys are in Florida? Because there's another recurring theme. I love how you invite me on your podcast, and I'm like, you know what a shit show your state is, right?
Yeah, we know.
Okay,
We'll
fair
edit
enough.
that part out. We
edit
don't do any political, or we try not to get
Okay.
political in here. Anyway.
It's not
Well,
political state.
it's not political. We did talk about swamp crotch, and I'm just talking about the weather and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And then we also have the skunk ape down here. So
Yeah.
we do have a skunk ape walking around.
Yeah, so
somewhere.
if you ever go to like the Everglades, there's actually a skunk ape like headquarters.
Yeah.
right outside of there.
yeah.
I saw that. Like I didn't
I
go.
feel like
I
I'm
was
on the
close.
outside of a bit here.
The what?
I feel like I'm on the outside of a bit right now.
It's just because
like-
you're not a native here. Like,
Yeah,
you
you don't
just
know.
you just got to come down and you'll you spend a week with us down here and you might understand a lot after that. Or
and buy an ATV and some truck nuts.
no, they're they got
Chris
rid of
is like,
truck
we're not
nuts.
selling any more Vanguard stuff. That he's going too far.
You should. Every Vanguard mic
get
should
like
come
a
with a pair of truck nuts.
Yeah, well, just like the truck
Mic nuts.
like mic cover.
or mic nuts, like
Yeah,
little
mic
nuts that hang
Nuts.
off.
Oh my gosh!
I could 3D print them for you.
I could 3D print them for me.
There you go.
Yeah, just like
Mic
get
nuts.
3D printed truck nuts,
nuts.
shrink them down, put them
TM.
on for April Fool's Day,
There you go.
benefiting like Florida methadone clinics. You know, that's gonna be like-
We'll put Derek's mic nuts on the website.
oh
We
my
need, to, we need to
gosh!
start adding some accessories.
no.
So we'll put Derek's mic nuts TM.
Yeah. TM.
Mike, Derek's mic nuts. You know they're mine because the left one is lower than the Good Lord, Justin, please edit this out.
We got it. we can save this for the blooper stuff.
Mike nuts. I may actualize that because that's too good of an idea
You
not
should.
to use as like a gag now that I have a Shopify, just be like in the accessories section, buy your mic
You'd
nuts.
be surprised. People will probably be all about that, you know?
We already sell the mic condoms, you know? So
then there you go. Now it has to come with like its own little pair of nuts.
there needs to be a reason for it to need a condom, you know?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
Or like, several million reasons.
I'm just picturing them.
You guys all right? Sorry, I'm taking this like you're giving me
fine,
the giggles. So
I
yes.
thought I was gonna derail everything. I kind of did,
No.
but I mean, like at the same time,
Man, I bounce around like a ping pong ball on a clothes dryer. So
now you're a really good instigator when it comes to
it's a
like
problem.
you enable me. Like every time I talk to you about
and
stuff.
poor Chris is just caught in the crossfire.
Oh, it's
here.
all right.
Like,
He's used to it
supposed
by
to be
now.
so microphones and not without testicles. Let's talk about those.
Oh, so sure, SM7Bs.
Okay, yeah. We're gonna rename the roll-off switch like the castration switch. What were we talking about before this?
I don't even
incredible rabbit hole.
Skunk apes. I think I don't
Well,
know.
well, before that, we need to rewind
Florida.
like a good
It was
10
Florida.
minutes.
We were talking about mics. We were talking about AudioScape.
We're talking about AudioScape. You were talking about Sonic 100.
Yeah, Sonic
your
100.
promo
Yeah.
code.
So now back from that. Yeah. Oh God.
All right.
So, Justin, anything that you wanted to know over there?
What was your first product that Vanguard released? Which
It
microphone?
was the V13 R2 microphone, not the one I'm talking on, because I was going to set that up and I'm like, power supply is a lot of work because it's the end of the day. And I'm just like, it'll just be this wallboard box and even greater fidelity, but with tube character, you know? So, it was a tube mic. Like we felt like we had a really good foundation for that, and it was probably the easiest thing to actualize at first because we didn't have a lot of funds to start with. So instead of spending money on tooling, we could work within an existing metalwork platform that was already tooled up by a manufacturer, and then just redesign the guts, just like new saddle, new PCB, custom transformer, rip out the guts of the power supply and start fresh there. And so that's what we did. And I'm really proud of of a couple things about it, but one is just like I wanted to make a really quiet tube mic because even the vintage tube mics I used, I was like, that's a lot of noise. And we spent a lot of time and figuring out how to make it as quiet as possible. And it's like quieter than a lot of FET mics. It's crazy, crazy quiet. And part of that's the cryogenic treatment. Part of that's careful component selection. Part of that's good power filtering, which is unfortunately absent on a lot of power supplies. We're really, really happy with that. Chris, what was your first product, the bus comp?
Yep, bus comp. Yeah, for
Okay.
AudioScape. I think, I don't know what CBC pedals was. I think it was just a Super Fuzz or...
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, you got out of the pedal game at the right time because talk about saturated markets. My goodness. Like I'm waiting for my mom to come out with a pedal company. Honest to goodness.
And this is the what are you doing with your life pedal?
I miss sometimes being able to just have the time to build up weird quirky circuits and mess around with them. That's probably the thing I miss the most.
I feel like it was much easier to it's probably much easier to breadboard out something for a guitar pedal. It's usually less components and stuff than say a microphone or a mic pre or a compressor. Like just your schematic is in a much, much smaller font.
It is, and it trained me. It trained my ear doing those because I would drive myself obsessive compulsive about transistor selection and things like that, and I would just spend countless hours just plugging and chugging transistors and these fuzz pedals just to find the perfect combination. So, like I was saying in an earlier podcast, if something comes across here now, I know what everything's supposed to sound like when it's been designed. So in Final QC, I can call bullshit on whatever, if it's not sounding up to spec. So that really,
it's so important.
it was like boot camp for my ears is what CBC pedals was basically,
I definitely did a lot of that with just engineering and learning how to make records sound not bad, particularly working with like a lot of people who it was their first time in the studio and they get the studio nerves and stuff like that. So definitely that. And then just like, okay, I had 4 prototypes. That's all I could afford at the time. 4 prototype mics, right? And I was just swapping out components in specific positions in the circuit and then going, okay, which capacitor do I like best here? Which brand of capacitor or which series? And we discovered a lot of really interesting stuff that way. But it really is ear boot camp because you're listening for really minute details and you learn how to zero in on particular aspects of circuits and stuff. Yep. And I maintain, and I'm 100% serious about this is not a joke, that part of the reason the V13 works on so many voices is because I made it work for my voice. Yep. Which is very nasally. I have a lot of nasal quality to my voice, and I really don't like that. And when I'd had to listen to hours and hours of myself talking and singing, which is like the 7th circle of hell, having to do that for 3 years. But having done that, like the V13 works really well and is really forgiving and flattering on a lot of voices because it made my voice sound not bad, which is no small feat. And like I said, that's not a joke. Like I think that's a big part of the reason why the V13 sounds the way it does. So I don't know how you go about, like, I'm curious about your R&D process because for me,
yeah, you check every component like you're talking about. Plug in. We test every transformer under the sun. A lot of times it's not like the same transformer manufacturer for like the input and output transformers, things like that. Just it's what's going to make this thing go. And I think one thing you hinted on that when people buy your products or products from a company, they don't realize that you're buying that particular designer or, tester's final, their ear, what they hear, what they think sounds best. And, that's what even if it's doing something that might be derivative, even like we're trying to reboot something that's old, you're still choosing what's available today. Sometimes that could be harder than just starting with something new. If I was trying to do something that was like for instance, the 76A, right? Super noisy circuit. You got to leave the noise in there. I would definitely change one of those resistors, lower the gain. So it's just, I wouldn't have like a 60, 70% reject ratio on boards, so like, yeah, things like that. But, yeah, that process is extremely important and highly critical as far as, do I go polypropylene? Do I just go polyfilm?
Yeah, metallized. Yeah. And also, like, you don't have the issue of what can I fit in this as much. Like you have clearance issues, like, unless you go to a 2U or a 3U. Like, for me, especially now that I've standardized all my mic chassis, like, I have to think about board clearance and stuff. Like on the V24, I actually had to put the transformers on the back of the board, sandwiched between the 2 chassis rails, because that's the only way I was going to get the transformers I wanted in there.
Wow.
And even like you have to solder the coupling caps before you solder the transformers, because otherwise you won't be able to access the solder point.
And that's so important.
The hoops I had to jump through for that. But you probably jumped through some of the same hoops in terms of trying to fit things in the right places and not, also not going overboard, financially on the bill of materials, because I think accessibility is something
I'm
that
probably the most guilty there of just throwing ambition to the wind and just being like, F it sometimes more than I probably shouldn't, because I don't look at the bottom line. I just look at, what's going to make this thing go. We'll figure it out after, and that's probably a terrible way to run a business.
I don't think so. I think that reflects your personal philosophy on what you want out of your gear. Like I think to run a business, you start with what is my personal philosophy and what brings me joy and what do I want this to sound like? And yeah, you could also run a business like, okay, I want to make the best $500 mic and start there, or the best $200 mic preamp, or what have you. And you can run that, and that's a perfectly viable way to run a business, but that's not the way we choose to run ours. Like, I definitely want to keep it accessible and find the most value I can in each part. If I spend $1 here, does that give me $10 more worth of sound? I'm not going to do it. But if I spend, $50 on gold foil etched resistors, and they don't really make a difference in the circuit at that particular area, like why would I put those in the bill of materials? It just for the cachet of it. So I get what you're coming from, but I disagree with you that it's a terrible way to run a business. I think it can create headaches for you down the line, but that's part of your process. And headaches down the line are going to happen no matter what business philosophy.
I don't know if it's
have.
a terrible way, but it's definitely not business centric, and that's not what I think people kind of get the vibe from probably from both our companies, that they're not like the products. It's about let's make the best shit.
Yep.
And figure it out, like I was saying, and that's in any price point. It doesn't matter. And then the fact that we can make it affordable, is where it's at. And part of what we do that, how we do that, obviously, is us in particular sell direct, and just we're not, we employ U.S. labor by doing so and all that. But I think one thing you hinted on earlier, I do want to talk about more is the order of construction. And you were talking about that with the mic, and we deal with the same thing with, say, we stuff a lot of our own circuit boards even here, especially if it's tube, and we're using carbon composition resistors, things like that. And just the order in which you stuff a PCB, something as simple as that, not to mention all the considerations of how things go in the build, like the order of, resistors first, or diodes, small signal switching diodes
small
first.
stuff first, and you build your way out.
And we've got these little devices for our boards now where, you can clamp down, do the sandwich, and then flip them over. You can do 10 boards at a time or whatever.
Ooh, I really like that. I just got those cheap little rotary ones because this is the first time we're stuffing our own boards for the V24. We're doing it every point is hand soldered with silver solder, which is unfortunate because that means that the solder joints look all bumpy and not shiny, but it's silver solder, and that's just what you're going to get. But it's our first time doing that, and I just got those like blue, and I probably have one right here. This one you've probably worked with these before. Yeah,
I'll send you a link to the ones we're using. They're not that expensive, and I like that. They have 3 different various sizes, and and that's another thing that people don't even consider nowadays. If you're going to sell something that's compliant with all these regulations worldwide, you have to use solder that's not, like when I first started with guitar pedals, it's just rosin core all the way.
Rosin core, leaded solder.
I just didn't care.
A breeze to work with. It just also poisons water supplies and stuff like that,
But that was with guitar pedals, and I honestly, I was just the first year or two just kind of ignorant to that. I was just selling locally and things like that, but in the U.S., it's legal.
Be aware of it.
I don't know if it still is, but back when I was doing it, it was legal. And so just finding the best lead-free solder for us was just a journey, and something that where they don't whisker and they don't do all those things. That's just
the bubbles and whiskers, and,
or the joints
look
like shit, like you alluded to with silver solder.
SAC 305. I have not found one that hand solders well. I just haven't. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I kind of gave up on finding like any kind of silvered solder that didn't give you kind of like a dull joint. And it's funny, if you scratch the surface just a little, it's not flux. The shine's under there, but SAC, I'd greatly prefer working with just like tin copper or something like that. But I think for a product that's $9,000, you got to pull out all the stops,
No, you do.
So,
yeah. And, but that might, you're also doing, you're doing payment, a little bit of payment plans, right? On that, so it's not so much for them too.
It's a lot of money. We offer financing on the website. Like, I don't know if you've done anything like this, but like I was always trying to strike, for me as an audio student and not being able to access good mics, I was trying to find this balance of, like I said, bang for your buck and value, where can I upgrade that is going to bring the most value and make this sound like $1 million, but not cost, an arm and a leg. So you're focusing more on creativity and less about picking up extra shifts so you can make your credit card payment, right? Because ultimately what we do is servicing the creative. We're giving them tools to make their stuff, right? Like that's our ultimate goal and purpose. And so keeping things affordable was a big deal for me, as opposed to now I'm buying $200 GE 5-star tubes and, like spending silly money on this product, which I've never done before. And we did a tin quantity, which economies of scale, right? Tin's a terrible quantity to do, but it's a pretty niche product, right? You can't go much lower than that to get much worse on how much, how many price breaks you're going to get. So, But I did it because I wanted to, because I thought it was an interesting project, because I thought it had utility, because I thought people would like it. Have you ever made any forays into like really high end stuff and like I had to challenge kind of your personal design philosophy of like how you would normally go about things?
That's a great question. The upcoming ASA 6A, for instance, is an example of that, where it's just very challenging mechanically, circuit, placement of transformers. Do we go with, once again, there's a bunch of transformers, bunch of old like black metal tubes from the 40s and 50s that are used. So like how many are we going to make? How many of like those tubes, once again, highly critical, like the Golem 58. So it's going to be a challenge for that.
We've had people even ask, is this going to be a limited product? Like, again, and
I still don't even know.
I'm like, I don't know.
Right now, the only
people have asked me the same thing about the V24, and I'm like, it depends on if we sell these 10 and like how well it does, and if people want more, I'll make more. But like,
and
I mean, you're going to be showing that off at AES with us, right?
Yep, that's the plan. Oh, spoiler alert! Way to go, Trevor. Way
What
to
did you want to do? Like, did you want to do an announcement?
Yeah, it's fine.
I think we just did.
Well, you have until next Sunday to let everybody know.
Well, just so you guys know, Dumbledore dies in the 7th book.
Did you watch this week's Ahsoka?
I have not. We're actually
all right, then
behind.
I'm going to spoil some shit for you right now. No, I'm just joking.
How dare you?
I'm just joking. I would not.
Also, I did bump my mic, so gate it, please, Justin. It's really nice to be able to tell the engineer to fix it in the mix instead of being the guy that's like, why do all these fucking people tell me to fix it in the mix?
Yeah, we can just turn over and look at him and just be like,
yeah, we'll fix it in post, right, Justin?
I'll edit that.
I'm sitting here going, I've become my mortal enemy. I'm a huge problem.
Yeah, but the V24. Was it you showed that off at NAMM for the first time?
I did, and then Neutrik was like, those connectors we were gonna have for you in May. Just kidding, it's gonna be October.
Back to
literally,
supply chain, huh?
Well, for them it was more of a priorities thing, because they had stuff like it's a connector that's very esoteric. Like a little bit of background. Till this, you could only get 7 pins in an XLR format. You couldn't get any more. And that's part of the reason, unless I wanted to retool and use like a Tuchel connector, like one of those big fat screw-on connectors that costs, speaking of expensive things, costs like an arm and a leg to do a Tuchel connector. And then that means retooling my shock mount as well, because that doesn't fit in there. And now they're like, hey, we have a 10-pin XLR format, and 2 of them are power pins, and 8 of them are signal pins. It's actually for Ethernet plus power, like it's in one format. It's a cool idea, right? But I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to use this for, because I've been thinking about doing a stereo tube mic, but I didn't have enough connections, because you need at least 9 basically to make it work, to make any kind of C24 style mic work. And they had that, and I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this. It fits into my V44 tooling. It's perfect. This is exactly what I want to do. And they were like, yeah, we're going to build this. And then they were like, actually, a lot of people want like our new Halo connectors where you can put LEDs on the PCB behind the XLR and have like, a little halo around the XLR, so it can become your meter. It can become Phantom's on this channel, but it's off on another. It has a lot of applications, and they got like 2 million orders for them. So they're like, we're going to make that instead of your 10 pin XLRs. And I'm like, how dare you? But yeah, I do that too. So yeah, extremely boring supply chain stuff. Justin, you can probably edit that out too, if we're being honest. Yeah.
No, but yeah, like you were talking about the V24, that definitely made a huge splash at the last NAMM. It will be at the next AES show here in October next month. Or
my first time
alert.
doing
Yeah, we're gonna edit that out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
My bad. And then no, but it is akin to the C24s, like you were talking about, and nobody's ever really, even just stereo mics is not that's not something you see too often.
It's a niche product.
Yeah.
They're super useful, and a lot of people don't know why they're like. It's a weird thing to have in your locker if you're like some like random Joe, right? But they do some really cool stuff, and they're super useful once you figure out how to use them. And they're also a pain in the keister to make. Like that rotation mechanism, that took us ages to get right, you know. So
I bet we use the V44S that we have here, and it's just amazing all the options you have. You don't even think about it, like with the breakout box and that. That's such a cool accessory, you know.
Yeah.
It makes you take phase alignment for granted.
Yeah.
I'm curious on for you, like design challenge wise, what's something like from a mechanical design perspective that was like you felt really, really accomplished when you got over that hump? I assume I'm going to guess it has something to do with your spring reverb, but I'm curious.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Well, the spring reverb, one of the hardest things mechanically was how the spring assembly, I'm trying to make this into layman's terms as much as possible. It's,
Nope, gets super technical.
I know.
Let's bore everybody.
It's
Let's
four
bore the
sleds
socks off everyone.
with 3 springs each, 12 springs total. They're encased in this like this shell. It's a separate shell. It's like a product in itself, the spring assembly, which is kind of like its own echo chamber, right? So it has to suspend inside the case itself. So we had to find, and we kind of modeled after the original one. Luckily, we had that, and I had one here that I could look at. But we had to find all these weird parts, like I ended up becoming a customer of a place called Rubber Feet Warehouse. Like, never thought I would be a customer of Rubber Feet Warehouse, but apparently I am now.
That's either like a parts store or like a BDSM supply shop.
Yeah. So, I had to get all like the right diameter rubber grommets and that. So it sits like it's isolated completely from the chassis. It's
completely isolated from vibration because it's a spring reverb.
I had to find the right tension, not even the springs that go inside, but the right tension springs for that thing to sit, right?
To suspend properly. Exactly. Yeah. It's the same problem you have with mic shock mounts. If you don't use the right tension, then it's not going to do its job. Yeah.
That was probably the most difficult thing as far as the reverb goes. The ASA 6A, Ryan, luckily we have, a lead mechanical engineer here, Ryan, who does all like our case drawings now. Because before I was just the worst at it. I was just terrible. I was just like, here's in Photoshop with a hand-drawn arrow and 432 millimeter, written
That's where we all start, man. That's exactly where we all start.
And so he, formal 3D drawings, you could look at it and all this stuff. And, but anyways, we went back and forth quite a bit on the ASA 6A. It's 5U. And
5U.
And it
needs its own rack.
It's like, it's like the old guitar amp chassis, basically, where it slides in a tray. It's got have you seen I don't know if the product page is live yet for the ASA 6A, but it will be soon. And you guys can see, and you'll be able to spin it around and do all this stuff on all our other products. But it's quite a feat mechanically to redo that. It's not like a lot of times people build a product and it's just in a standard rack format, but this is a whole different beast. And that's.
I mean, it turned a lot of heads, like much like the V24 at NAMM. Like people, like they saw the racks of ours, but then they look over the TV and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like,
"We just set it on a TV. We didn't even put it in the rack."
On a vintage TV. It was actually a genius display. I thought it was awesome.
Oh, that was all Mark Daniel Nelson's idea for that one.
Yeah,
and so shout out to him. But
I also love that you're doing the 78 and the 6A. Like, I mean, like you guys. I joke about clones a lot on my Instagram, but like one thing I like about you guys is you're like pushing your own design boundaries, and you're not like, hey, here's another 1073 or here's another, like, and don't get me wrong, like an 1176, that's like a bread and butter thing. You've got your 3 revs of your 1176 because it's important to have core products.
I just wanted one.
Also, like,
I just wanted it. That's why.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
And
like
but like that's exactly why people should design stuff, because they want it.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like you're branching out into really interesting esoteric stuff like spring reverbs and instead of hashing the same popular products because it's gonna make big bags of money or whatever. Like, I think
never been a
that
cash
speaks
grab
to your
business,
design philosophy and your design passion, which is like, I think part of what connected us, Chris, when we first talked is like, we both really enjoy the design part and the challenge and the joy that it brings us.
Yeah. Likewise.
That's how I feel about mics. And every mic I do, I'm like, wow, that was harder than the last one. Like I've gone through 3 different iterations of metalwork for the Lollipop for the dumbest reason, the absolute dumbest reason. So the Lollipop,
Those are
the
so
mic
beautiful.
body,
Yeah.
and the Lollipop and the shock mount all have our logo on it. And I wanted it so if somebody wanted to, they could line all 3 of them up. You know, and there's only so many ways you can do that. And getting your factory to start the threading in the same place on every Lollipop neck and every V1 body when there's 2 different factories making those things is just impractical. Like we have 2 different CMs. Those are 2 entirely different products and different specialties. So the metalwork for the mic body is different than the metalwork for the Lollipop because we make that out of aircraft aluminum because we don't want it to take down your mic stand. If it was brass, that mic would weigh like 4.5 pounds. So I went through 3 different iterations of metalwork to try and get it to line up, which is the dumbest reason to spend that much money and time and effort. But I was like, it's because I want them to line up, right? And I finally admitted defeat. And on the next run, I'm like, yeah, it's not going to line up. Sorry, guys. Like if you want it to line up that bad, just unscrew it like 40 degrees or whatever. I can't help you because function has to come before fashion, right? And in that's a mistake I made where I put the fashion over the function. And as a result, people would accidentally break their mics by unscrewing the wrong thing, like putting too much pressure. We're using like red Loctite, like gobs of red Loctite on this to try and prevent it from unscrewing at the wrong spot. And people were still breaking the red Loctite. And I'm like, man, like how many pickle jars did you open before you did this? Are we out of time, Trevor? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm just
We're approaching that, yes.
no, I was just I don't want to. I'm not trying to look rude. I'm sorry. My phone's
No,
just
it's
blowing
fine.
up, so I was
It's
just making
fine.
sure.
I am boring, and I'm fully aware of that, and I
dude,
accept it. So.
you're a fucking snooze fest. I'm
No.
telling you.
Edit.
No, Trevor just didn't feel like he was getting the best of you, so he went on his phone.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Like when Chris does it, he
I'll
just
go
kind of
if
angles
I ever
it
feel
slightly.
like I'm losing, I'll go right on my phone.
It was like I think you should leave. Damn it! No, my mom. It's something about.
I have so many apps.
Yeah,
It's my
sorry.
mom.
We just did. I knew we'd break out the. I think you should leave and alienate people before we left. But no,
This has all been cosmic gumbo, man.
Yes.
cosmic gumbo for sure.
Sorry. But no, well, we do hit. Well, I mean, we are basically at time.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I before we go, because I told my silly mistake story, I want Chris, what's the silliest mistake you've made in like a production that you've
This
had
week
to
or
go back to?
today? Or?
Honestly, man, I was about to make the almost exactly the same joke because when you do stuff that you've never done before, you're gonna make a bunch of silly goose errors.
That's
It's
one of
just
the
nature.
That's part of our training with anyone that starts working here. The feeling of not feeling bad if you make a mistake, because this kind of work definitely will kill any sort of ego or anything like that, because you are going to mess up a lot.
You're gonna find out that you just put 20 resistors in the wrong position. You thought the blue stripe was a green stripe or whatever. For me, it's always the red and the brown.
I mean, I made a mistake last week where I was prototyping something. It was a wire that had 240. I may have told this on another one, but I had 240 volt hanging down on a wire, and it was touching my leg. And it didn't shock me touching my leg, but as soon as I started to turn a control, and my pinky made
you ground
the
it out.
chassis. So it went through my right leg all the way up the 240 volt, and then out through my left hand.
Oh boy!
I felt very smart.
I bet your dinger had some tingle in it.
So, but you do this kind of stuff, you're going to shock yourself. It just comes with the territory.
Tube voltages are no fun, man. That B+ voltage is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
I also, the correct answer, by the way, Chris, was you were supposed to lean very close into the mic and be like, "My biggest mistake is sitting right next to me, Derek." Sorry,
I think that's for his parents to
oh
say.
yeah. That's my I grew up with that all the time. They're just like,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry. You can talk about me in your next
There's
therapy
always
session.
one kid that parents don't talk about. So like, it's just like
That kid.
They're like, oh yeah, our 2 kids. They're like, but you have 3 kids. Just like,
No.
we don't talk about him.
I've given you some therapy fodder. Sorry about that.
No, I go to therapy already, so we're good. So
Okay. Yeah, but you gotta get new stuff to talk about. Like
This
me and
is
my
our
therapist.
therapy.
Sometimes we hop on the
Yeah,
phone. We're
a
like,
little
so
bit.
how was the weather today? And
oh no, I always go. I have a bucket list of shit that I can.
oh, you
download every week.
just got your notebook.
Yeah, I just go like I just go in there. I'm just like, all right, so the year was 1993, and
I was a young, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed
we're
lad.
working through it. We're working through
Yeah.
it. I think we're up to
Yeah.
age 5 now, so we're working through it now.
Whereas, like, I feel like some of my impromptu therapy is like throwing tools at the wall when I can't get something to work right. Like, and you think I'm joking, but my shop had marks that I could tell you, like, oh, that was when the V44S was oscillating at 18K, and I couldn't figure out why. Yeah, so, and I couldn't hear it. Part of the problem was we were about to start shipping these things out, and then we ran our FR test, and I'm like, why is there this huge spike? Because I can only hear to like 15.5K because I worked concerts in college and didn't wear earplugs because I was a smart kid. So
What?
Yeah, Chris, where's your high frequency response at?
I don't. I think my left ear is worse than my right.
My right ear is worse than my left.
Yeah, and
Drummers standing next to a drummer is a bassist, man.
tinnitus is
Stand on the
real
hi-hat
for
side.
sure. But yeah, I may have a little bit more on the right in the high range. I'm not sure exactly where. I guess I should probably,
And I have like I don't know if you ever have this happen where like one ear will go completely deaf, but then the other one just comes out and just feels like it's just amplified. I don't know if you ever had
Compensating.
that happen.
No, you're weird.
No.
Oh,
lately.
okay. Well, that happens to me like quite frequently.
I get tinnitus.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a big one. So,
Yeah.
like you said, standing next to drummers.
It's probably an alien experiment.
I mean, it probably is an alien experience. Like,
I'm not joking about the tinnitus thing though. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I will take off my headphones in the middle of QCing. I used to do this and be like, oh, it's my ears. It's not the mic. Okay.
Yeah, that can happen for sure. Yeah, that's the worst.
yeah. Usually I go through and ask a bunch of silly questions, but we're gonna save that one for AES. I think.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think we're gonna save that one for AES.
Now
I
that
feel
we've
like we've had a
told-
lot of good laughs. We've had a lot of good times. We've had a
We
lot
have.
of inappropriate times, and
Lot of
we don't need to
evidence.
add more to this episode.
I mean, I can take my shirt off if you want, but it costs extra. My appearance fee. We did discuss that before.
We already
right?
got the free show earlier.
Yes.
That's true. You guys got that. You guys got to go into the VIP room.
Yeah,
That's right.
We got the sneak
Champagne
preview.
Yep, we went to the VIP. So
The VIP, VIP for the nip. That's how we roll.
Well,
now that we've told everybody that the people designing their gear have bad hearing, you want to take us out?
yeah, well, we can take that out.
No,
I think it's great.
Al Schmidt fell off a ladder and had serious hearing damage, and he was still mixing wonderful records. So
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Yep.
Well, you've watched plenty of these episodes, as you said before. So, do you want to do our sign off for us?
meth and gators, baby.
Yes.
That's the best one.
That is.
I like
That's the
it.
best one.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank
That's
you,
the
Derek.
Florida State motto, right?